Okay, we are back. We are definitely going to need some L&D. I am going to need some L&D about connecting Bluetooth audio equipment to your computer and making sure it stays that way. I apologize to anyone who was watching earlier, ran into audio troubles. We're back with Tim Ryan, who is the US chair of PwC, and we're talking about learning and development. Tim, welcome.
Great. Hi, Zach. Good to be here. And we're all living through this world of technical difficulties and shaving cuts. And it's great to be here. And thank you all for having me. And I can't wait for the dialogue. So
hobbling across the finish line of this 1 year anniversary of the pandemic. Well, right. So we've already introduced two things about me that you wouldn't usually see in professional office setting, the cut and the audio issues. And as you know, we like to hear from our guests before we get into the topic at hand. Just if you're working from home, we get to see a little bit about your personal life we wouldn't otherwise see. So where are you working from, and can you share something in your locale?
Absolutely, Zach. So I am live from my daughter's bedroom, which has become my home office over the last year. If you asked me if you thought I'd be in my daughter's bedroom for a year, she would never let me in, and now it's kind of my office. So I'll try to show you two things without disconnecting. My best friend in the world is, can you see my dog there?
Yeah. I see a
best
black
friend in the world
thing that I believe is
her name is Ariel, and she literally follows me everywhere. She'll hate when the pandemic's over. Mm-hmm. And then what you'll see on the wall, up
there, yeah, I can't hear you anymore, but I'd see it. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
So that is 1980 Olympic hockey jersey that my daughter's greatest treasure, because we're big hockey fans, and it's signed by Mark Johnson, who had 2 goals against the Russians, and he's now the men's coach.
Oh, amazing.
Sure. So those are the two things. My best friend in the world, Ariel, who's heard more about work and webcasts and podcasts than any dog in the world, and Mark Johnson. There you go.
Perfect. Well, I assume you might be able to bringing the dog back into the office if you have some sway around there at PwC when things go back to normal. But we should start with the year that's just passed, which I have to imagine has heightened the topic we want to talk about today, which is the threat of automation to certain jobs in the workforce, and what companies are doing, can be doing to train and retrain their workforce to address that. Before we get into the broader issue, what has the last year wrought? I mean, is it heightened anxiety about the issue among workers, and from your perspective, has it made this, what coming out of the pandemic, as we hope to all be soon, where do we find ourselves in terms of the threat of automation, and what employers need to be doing to address it?
Yeah, Zach, thank you. It's not lost to me. We're coming up on a year anniversary of this pandemic, and 2020's had a lot of anxiety for so many people in the workforce, not just at PwC, everywhere, and whether it be health or safety or job security. And prior to the pandemic, before we took for granted health and safety and the fact that we would never even dream of a pandemic, people in the workforce were worried about relevance, job relevance. And they were worried about, am I going to have the skills to make sure I can continue to have a good living? Can I have a job? Can I progress in my career? And we heard that at PwC. We went into the pandemic, and then it became a lot about other things, like, again, job security, health, family, and whatnot. What I'm proud about is that we focused on upskilling way before the pandemic began, and it helped at least ease the anxiety that people had within the pandemic.
Let's talk a little bit more about this term upskilling. I'm gonna have to admit, I'm not a fan of the word, the spirit behind it. I'm a big fan of, but maybe by the end of this, you can convince me on upskilling as a term. But what is meant by it? What does that look like more specifically at PwC?
Yeah, so Zach, great, because I'm less about words and more about actions. So that's really good. So. And I'll often use the wrong words, but hopefully get judged by the actions.
I'll try to come up with a variation by the end of this.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you a little bit of a story. So going back 4 years ago, what we heard from our employees is they were worried about their job relevance. Here we are, a professional services firm, 55,000-ish people, and highly trained, highly educated people. And they were reading articles, trade publications, podcasts that a third of the jobs might go away and might be automated out. And we started hearing from them, we're worried about our own job security. What are you doing with us to make sure we have the right skills? And I will admit, it was a bit of surprise for me, not the pace of change in technology, but here you have these highly trained professionals who are amazing people saying, we're a little bit worried about our relevance. And it kicked off like the heart of our strategy ultimately was developed around what our employees told us, which is they wanted to lean in on new skills over and over and over again. That led to us, ultimately me and my team, making a commitment that we were going to invest in technology skills to help everybody throughout their career. I like to tell people we've made employee upskilling akin to 401k and healthcare. It's an employee benefit. It never stops. We're constantly investing in each other to make sure our skills move at the pace the outside world is moving. We share with our people, we're not going to leave you behind as long as you choose not to be left behind. And that meant this continuous flood of how do we progress on our own journey? So I like to tell people, if you were here, we're going to take you to here. If you're here, we're going to take you to here. It's this constant journey where everybody gets to go and continue to raise the bar in their own skills.
I'm, you're a huge company, 275,000, 300,000 people. I have to imagine it varies, but could you try to describe for an average PwC employee? I'm an accountant going through this upskilling program. What are the skills that I'm learning along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched this program, Well Your Tomorrow, when we first focused on, we wanted to create a sense that we're all going on the journey together. So 2 years ago, we said to everybody, we're going to earn our first digital badge together. And we asked everybody to earn digital badge number 1. This last year, we did digital badge number 2. And that was something all in the US, all 55,000 people did. And it was a 4-part series where you had to pass an assessment and truly earn a digital badge, which helped all of us raise our digital IQ. Last year was the human-centered design badge, which brought us into human-centered design type thinking. We earned our badge. And if you look at many of our people, I know many are listening, if you look at our LinkedIn profiles, you'll see that we proudly display those badges. So that's a common that all of us would have gone through together. Now, if you're sitting in our audit, our tax business, in the last 3 years, you would have learned how to build a basic automation, how you would have built a bot, how to use visualization tools, and then more importantly, apply them in your day-to-day work, which then drives not only the ability to apply the skills, but also then success then breeds success. And that's something, if you're, what I'll say, relatively basic, coming in with an accounting degree or a tax degree, we're then teaching you those basic skills.
So it's interesting we're framing this, and I'm guilty of framing this at the top of the episode this way, as addressing fear of automation, which I certainly see the connection, but it seems just as much about providing career progression for employees, and generally, you said it, it's a benefit. So provide, being a workplace that can successfully retain talented employees. Like, is it possible to separate those two goals of the program, or is one more important to you than another?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. When you look at the fear, like the unknown for many of us causes fear and anxiety when it's unknown. And usually when you get involved with something, when you start to get involved, the fear tends to go away. It's not as hard as I thought. It's not as difficult as I thought. And so we tried to address the fear by giving our people the ability, I call it like playing the sandbox, like actually get to use the skill sets. And that then has really showed all of our people the opportunity. I'll just tell you a quick story. About 3 months before the pandemic, so it would have been January timeframe, I was in Houston, Texas, meeting with a client, very, very large non-audit client in the firm. And they said, we just hired 3 of your people. There's something really different about them. Their technology acumen is amazing. We haven't seen anywhere else. And I said to them, I have to tell you, I take that with mixed emotions. On one hand, I hate to lose our great talent, but on the other hand, I'm really proud because I view a big part of my job and our firm's job, giving people the best skills, the best experience, so they are the best sought after talent in the world. And that's what the CFO and CEO were saying to us. Because of the skills they saw, they were more relevant. So as our people have leaned in, they get more opportunities. They get to apply the tools, and it makes them incredibly valuable to our clients. It makes them, in doing our day-to-day work, it makes them incredibly valuable as they go on to do the next job and the next job. And but most important for me, it reduces the anxiety of the unknown. And I think that's a big part of my job is make sure we help people deal with the unknown. I tell people, I wish I could slow the pace of the world. I can't. None of us are that good. What we can do is give people the tools so they're comfortable knowing they can keep up with the pace of the world.
So worth it to you, even if it's preparing your workforce for their next job somewhere else. Still worth the investment.
Without a doubt. I proudly tell people, like, the world is full of opportunities, and as long as our people leave for great opportunities and they're going to really great companies, I'm proud of that. Like, I want our people to get great opportunities. I'm proud of the fact that we promote 5,000 to 7,000 people a year across every level of our organization. But I also, a big goal of ours is, when I think about what we stand for, diversity and inclusion and true inclusive leadership, technology, upskilling, teaming, if our people are sought after because they're the best at those three things, that makes me happy.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the first of those that you mentioned, diversity and inclusion, because I know that that's been a big initiative of yours leading PwC US. To what extent is the investment in training, learning, and development related to, or at least aiding the company's efforts to diversify workforce, and in particular leadership ranks of the organization?
Yeah, so great. Let me start outside in, and then I'll come inside. So a year and a half ago, we launched globally a $3 billion initiative called New World, New Skills, and we made a commitment to invest $3 billion to help the world progress along technology and the skill sets. That has benefited. The biggest part of the investment has gone directly to our people. It's also gone to our clients to help them go on their journey, but it's also gone to tech skills in underserved communities across the United States. And a big part of what we try to do is a 360, good for our people, good for our clients, and good for our communities. And we are knee deep in underserved communities across the country, teaching children in elementary schools, high schools, the importance of having the tech acumen, so when they do get to college, they can succeed. We've also done that inside. We've said, everybody has the ability to go after these leadership skills and these technology skills if they're willing to lean in. The statement that I've said hundreds of times, we won't leave you behind as long as you choose not to be left behind. So lean into the journey. That's enabled our diversity and inclusion strategy. We've been very aggressively recruiting at college campuses, experience hires who join the firm if they've had other industry experiences. The ability for us to offer technology upskilling for a career, not just one and done, has been an incredibly important part of our talent attraction strategies. You asked about leadership. I believe diversity and inclusion takes many elements. It not only is gender, and by the way, yesterday was International Women's Day. We should all be proud of that. And we should both celebrate, but also recognize we have a long way to go. But it takes ethnicity, gender, and it takes technology acumen. And I've tried to build my leadership team that where people can look up and say, I belong, not just from gender and ethnicity, but also that we have the right technology acumen on our team, that we know where the world is going. I do think one of the risks many companies have is that, given that tenure often describes who gets into leadership, I do worry sometimes that leadership teams don't have high enough tech acumen to know where the world is going.
When you talk about tech acumen, you mean like people like me fumbling around trying to get their headphones to work, or like being plugged into web culture, or ability to understand like where trends are going, or what does it look like in the form of a course that
all the above.
All the above.
So I'll give you an example. So you and I were talking before this webcast. We were talking about, none of us would have imagined a year and a month ago that we would work remotely for a year. Like, most people would have said it was impossible, but we talked about the shared experience. We need to imagine where the future is going, and we need to understand how the connected world will change. I'll give you examples, like currency, like digital currencies are the wave of the future, and it's in the next 5 years. If you don't have tech acumen and understand where the IPO market's going, where investor money is going, how the technology world potentially disrupts the financial services world, then you're going to miss the boat and miss the opportunity to help your people serve your clients. If you don't appreciate where autonomous vehicle is going, or how virtual medicine with now sensors in the house can take your temperature and measure your biometrics in the house without ever going to the doctor's office, that's all coming in the next 5 years. But if you don't have your ear to the ground and understand how different technologies connect together, you miss the opportunity to serve your clients, to serve your people, and to take care of your community.
That makes sense. So is it a lot? So is a good deal of the training, like briefings on tech trends, like cryptocurrencies and so forth?
Yeah. So great example. You had asked me earlier, what's it like? Give me the sense of someone day to day. So one of the big things we did at the firm is we had over 3,500 people that we made digital accelerators. So that, think of it as an advanced course. So all 55,000 they got the basic robotics, automation, visualization tools. And then we had 3,500 that we put through much deeper training. So taught them AI, taught them virtual reality. They are now out amongst our firm working with our people, showing them the art of the possible. Here's a different way to solve the problem. Here's a different way to do our day-to-day work, to simplify it, to free up time so we can spend it on relationships and get rid of some of the less attractive part of work. Those 3,500 digital accelerators, they're now helping to raise all 55,000 IQ. By the way, the retention rate, going back to retention, the retention rate of those 35 digital accelerators is remarkable because they're empowered to be teachers and ambassadors of what the art of the possible is.
And just to be clear, you mean retention as employees at the company?
Yes.
As opposed to taking the course again. So that makes a ton of sense. I want to make sure for viewers who might be interested in getting L&D programs like this started at their own companies, that we make sure to offer some tips that would apply, even if you're not working at a several 100,000 employee company. One thing you said earlier that I wanted to come back to that I think is a big question for smaller companies providing L&D resources. It was interesting. You said one of the badges that everyone in the company went through the same course. At Quartz, when we've done L&D, we've found it very hard to apply like a one-size-fits-all approach. And but on the other hand, it's really difficult to do like bespoke training programs for each employee. So I'd be curious to hear what were the positive, like the benefits of having everyone go through the exact same training in that case.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of both, right? So we did have the annual digital badge we do together, and then we have the customized training depending on what type of industry. The benefit, what I would encourage people who are listening, the benefit of having everybody do something that is only 10% of the overall journey, but you're doing it together, it's fun. It's a challenge. It's excitement. So what we did is we said 2 years ago, if we all earn this digital badge together, we'll shut the firm down for the week of July 4th. And so we had a goal, like we made it fun, like, and it creates the common purpose. Like we want this journey to be fun and exciting and inspirational, not a heavy another thing to do. If it's another thing to do, people do it the last day it's required and they get it required. If it's like, hey, if we all do this, we get a week off. And not only that, we help ourselves. It created the momentum, the positive momentum. And I would encourage organizations, I call it the science of change. If people have a common goal, it creates positive momentum. So I do think there's a piece where it fits one size fits all. But then I think the large part has to be customized. And the term we use inside the firm is we call it citizen-led. We viewed our job not to innovate every task, not to innovate every element of what one of our supply chain consultants does, one of our M&A specialists does, or one of our tax professional does. Our goal was to teach them how to fish, and teach them the skills, teach them how to build an automation, teach them how to leverage visualization, teach them the power of AI, teach them the power of virtual reality. And what our people have done is remarkable. So we've given them the fishing rod and the bait, and they went and found their pond, and that's our clients. And what they've done is remarkable. And I'll just give you some examples, Zach. We have 9,000 bots and automations today that our people have built that are being used across the firm. Had we not taught our people to fish, we could have never reimagined. We could imagine 9,000 applications sitting in my daughter's bedroom or New York or wherever headquarters is. But by teaching our people to fish, They've reimagined how to do work. Today, we have over 50 technology products that our clients can now buy, that the original idea for those products came because someone built an automation. I'll just give you one example. We have a product called Digital on Demand. Out of those 9,000 bots and automations, our team took the best of the best, and our clients can now access those automations. So if you're a tax controller somewhere, if you are a tax manager or assistant controller, you can access those automations that are being used by thousands of our employees, and you can access some of these to then apply in your day-to-day. We would have never been there had we not taught our people to fish.
What'll be so interesting over the next, decade or so as those sort of trends accelerate and white collar jobs, get automated to a much higher degree, is it just a one-for-one replacement? The job is now to create the bots that are automating some of the work that was previously done by humans, or is it net fewer jobs? I mean, that's a macroeconomic question, well beyond just what might happen in companies like PwC. But I'm curious where you see it going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a question that's on the minds of so many people, and I think it's important. So I always tell people the honest answer is the best answer. Like, to do a specific job, it will take less time. And that's okay. To do a tax return, to do a financial statement audit, to do an M&A analysis. And that's okay, because when you then learn those skills, then it opens up more opportunities for you and for the company. So at PwC, we're increasing our headcount. We've been growing each of the last several years, and we'll grow in the next several years, because now that we have these skills, more clients need the help. It allows more opportunities. So the specific job that you're doing will certainly take less time. And that's good, because people want more flexibility. They want more time for teaming. But I view it as when you invest, then you get growth. And again, a big part of any leader's job is to create opportunities for the people to grow. And I view the technology as liberating people from the mundane and creating massive opportunity for growth.
Not to mention that, competitively, you have no choice, because you could decide to sit on your hands, but someone else is going to build those automations one way or another. Well, Tim, this is a really fascinating discussion. I appreciate that you're willing to come on and share some of those insights with us. Thank you for dealing with the audio disruption, and would love to have you back in a future episode and report more on how this program's going. You still haven't sold me on upskilling, but as a word, but I do buy the everything else that you said today. So thanks.
You got it, Zach. Thank you very much, and I wish everybody the very best. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and keep on learning. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Zach.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Make Business Better. Join us here on LinkedIn every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got a great lineup ahead of us for the next few months. I'm really excited about all of that. In the meantime, hope you have a great rest of the day, great week. I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Bye.